During times of market turmoil and price action going down, there is still plenty of ways to make sure you come out on top at the end of this bull run. I'm not talking about dollar cost averaging tokens. I'm talking about jumping into protocols who are giving out free money and also yield protocols so you can make sure that your money is working for itself 24/7 in the crypto markets to maximize your upside, accumulate more coins with your existing coins during these downtimes, and on top of that, the ways to maximize the amount of free money you can make this cycle from simply farming the top protocols and upcoming airdrops. And I think one of these airdrops could be even bigger over time than something like HyperLiquid. So you're gonna want to stick around for all the alpha in this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. Before we dive into it, guys, be sure to drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. Every single week here on In the Game, we have you covered with all the alpha and information that you need to win this bull run. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors, as always, on the channel. Links down below in the description for Blowfin, 𝗬𝗏, and of course, Nexus Labs, the premier information platform in crypto. Track your portfolios, every wallet, multi-chain, without ever having to connect. You can trade perps. You can also jump in and just track every metric on chain, as well as get alpha directly from me whenever I make a trade. So you can check out Nexus Labs down below in the description. Let's go ahead and jump into it. As mentioned in the introduction of this video, guys, the market is a little bit in flux, right? Luckily, red coin behind us, Avalanche, is in the green on all three. We're in $34 on AVAX. We see Aster, our biggest open trade at this point in time, which is absolutely crushing, up another 40% on the daily. But other than that, and other than perp dexes like Avantis, the market's looking pretty bleak. Like, it's just red all across the board. Bitcoin's down 4% on the 7 days as it's selling off after that rate cut. But this is really just par for the course. And right now, this is not even a time where I'm looking at the market like, okay, I'm going to go DCA a ton of positions. I don't really think that that's the best thing to be doing at this point in time. Yes, if I'm looking across the board, HyperLiquid's way too sold off. You could justify really justify a few tokens like HyperLiquid. Sui's pretty cheap at this level. Athena at 60 cents is ridiculously cheap. 𝗵𝗏𝗔𝗗𝗃 at 310. Like, there are circumstances out there where you could say, I'm going to double down on a position or add to a bag. I would not fault you for that. But I think the best thing you can do is spending time in the market right now, playing around with different protocols and making sure that some of the biggest bull run airdrops you are qualified for, okay? Everyone loves getting that free money stimulus from different projects. And I know how bad it also feels when you see an airdrop that was talked about on your timeline or on YouTube in your face at some point, and then it finally goes live and you're like, I did not get involved. It really is the worst feeling. You see other people making $5,000, $10,000 off of certain protocols for just doing a few things on chain, right? Spending time on protocols. If you have that time, especially during times when the market is dipping a little bit, that's the best time to play around and make sure that you're allocated into these different platforms, have put in the time and the repetitions so you can get that free money. And if we do see an alt season at the end of this year, it could be a pretty euphoric time for some of these airdrops. So I'm going to walk you through step by step what I am doing with certain capital on different platforms. I'm going to be talking about DeFi as well as airdrops. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And today, this also sets the tone. I know a lot of people in the US, for example, have been annexed from certain airdrops in the past because you had to KYC. Well, now the SEC is creating rules to allow crypto companies to launch products in the United States without having to comply with previous regulatory requirements, calling it an innovation exemption. So this is very big. So this should be out the window now. Even if you're in the United States, you should be able to claim these different airdrops with no KYC. Before we jump jump into the airdrop side of things, I do want to give some updates on a couple of platforms, really just one, because the next few do have upcoming airdrops. Regarding DeFi, just to start, in BlackHole, I am still actively yielding in BlackHole. I have positions across a couple of pairs, and look, if you do go look at the APRs on some of these, they're still absolutely ridiculous. Now, of course, a lot of the highest ones aren't really the pools that I would be really jumping into at this point in time. I'm still just involved with basic pools, stuff in the couple hundred percentile ranges, whether you want to go Bitcoin Black, whether you want to go with stuff like Black and Mog. I still have money there because I have a big Mog bag that I'm holding long term. Super Black at 300%. There's still some pretty good positions out there. And yes, the token has taken a little bit of a hit, but the one thing that's been doing very, very well on this platform and is rising in APR is the locks. So if you locked up some tokens, you can actually claim every single week here on the platform based off the pools that you're voting on to support / get rewards from. So I am still actively yielding here. And the one thing I just want to point out in this video is DeFi protocols do this typically. This is actually not too surprising. If we go look at something like an Aerodrome finance, Aerodrome pumped from 2 cents to $1.83 within 3 months. Okay, that is unreal. And then it dips all the way down to 56 cents, goes back up to $1.90, goes all the way back down to 30 cents. So that's an 80% drop before climbing back up to $1.34. And I understand the price action on BlackHole has not been the sexiest, let's just say, in the last month or so. But the BlackHole token is still, I think, very undervalued. And if we look at the chart here on the 1 year, yes, you know, we pumped directly. I'm just going to go to the all chart here. No, the data is so skewed because it's been out in the market so long. But it pumped up to that from 30 cents to $1.50 all the way back down to 30 cents. So this is actually pretty par for the course as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see a big bounce back from BlackHole. And I know I'm answering this because I know a lot of people were curious. I do still have money in BlackHole. I have a locked amount as well that I'm just passively earning off of every single week. And I do expect this to come back, at which point I will sell a good point of my, a good part of my emissions. Now let's dive into airdrops. I think this is what most people are tuning in to today's video for. And let's just start with some of the biggest ones and some that you probably should already be allocated into if you watch this channel. Number one is HyperLiquid, okay? HyperLiquid is a layup. I think season 2 airdrop for HyperLiquid, whenever they do end up doing this, they now have competition with Aster, and Aster is doing airdrops every single season. So look, this is going to fuel the fact that HyperLiquid needs to come into the market with a splash. Yes, they are still the #1 perps dex by, you know, standards purposes, but at the same time, I think you have to make sure that you stay in competition. And if Aster is giving out a bunch of free supply every single season, HyperLiquid has to set a standard, and that season 2 airdrop has to be worthwhile. So go on there, trade. You can check out down below. We're going to have links to everything that you can get involved in the description down below. But if you want to get involved with HyperLiquid, there is a link down below. And look, I would just jump into the Hyper EVM side at this point. I think that the initial season 1 airdrop really rewarded traders, and look, they still will reward volume on the native platform, but I really do think Hyper EVM participation is going to be the most important. My preferred platform here for this would be Project X. You can swap any token from any chain in and out of Hyper EVM. You can yield. Some of these APRs are absolutely ridiculous. Even Pump and Hype at 238% APR. You can also just yield Hype and 𝗘Hype, which are pegged to each other, and still earn a percentage on your yield. So I absolutely love Project X, and Project X itself will also have an airdrop. So you're double dipping here if you get involved. And then to finish up on HyperLiquid, I have full-blown videos on HyperLiquid too, by the way, guys. So if you want to check those out, you can just check this channel. Over the past few months, I've talked about the HyperLiquid airdrop in depth, but a platform that also has a token coming out is HyperVault. HyperVault is an auto compounding platform. So it even takes and aggregates yield pools from stuff like Project X, where you get annualized yield, but it's automatically compounding. So that 3% on Hype and 𝗘hype, you can actually get 93% because of the auto compounding over the course of a year. So if you want to check this one out, they are talking about doing a potential airdrop before the end of 2025. So I'll leave links in the description for all of these as mentioned. And then of course, you should be allocated into Abstract. We've done some on-chain gaming on Abstract, and I think just hold a couple coins here. Even if you have Pengu in a Solana wallet, move it over to Abstract, leave it here. I think that this will be a pretty good airdrop as long as you have been getting that Abstract XP. Right now, Abstract as a chain is in a little bit of a flux, in an interesting point, because not a lot of coins have had product market fit, which is why I'm also saying just hold your Pengu here. If you believe in 𝗪𝗔𝗄, if you believe in the future of that ecosystem, move over your Solana Pengu over here to Abstract and just hold it. You'll get passive XP every single week, and you will qualify for the upcoming Abstract airdrop. And then some of the more low-hanging fruit items, we have MetaMask coming up. As Gorilla says here, you can actually check out some Dune dashboards and see, where you rank. If you have done 35 swaps, just 35 swaps on the MetaMask wallet, which I'm an idiot, but it's going to work out in my favor, I hope. I swapped so much over the course of the last 4 years on just the MetaMask interface. So I'm really hoping all of my wallets are, pretty well qualified here. But the problem with MetaMask is they have so many users. I don't know that this is going to be the most fruitful, but anyone who's been in crypto long term should probably qualify for this. So you can check out this Dune dashboard here in Gorilla's tweet. You can paste your wallets. You can see your swaps and volume. I think they're going to categorize volume in a much higher category for participation and for airdrop purposes than just sheer number of swaps. We also have OpenSea coming up. So if you've been buying NFTs and if you were a participant in 2021, I would at least go through, buy some cheap NFTs, okay? Or buy some good NFTs. We have TTOO, we have 𝗪𝒛𝒛 as well. Both have NFT collections. You can get involved with those communities, or just go buy some cheap NFTs and make sure you're at least active. Because if you're not an active wallet since 2021, they're probably not going to incentivize you. And you can also complete voyages, buy NFTs, and you can swap on their platform as well and gain airdrop allocation. Right now the speculation is that the OpenSea token goes live early October. So that is definitely one to look out for. And then last but not least, on ones you should already be allocated into if you watch this channel, is Meteora. And this one I think is going to be tasty, okay? Meteora is the top DeFi / yield farming for new pairs, for old existing pairs, etc. on all of Solana. I actually think that Meteora's platform is one of the best in crypto in general, and we did a lot of LPs last year on the meme coin mania between Trump, Chill Guy, Flog, MLG. The amount of meme coins that we were able to yield fees from the volume last year, we were very public about that. I have one of the best, I would say, Meteora tutorials in the space on this channel as well. So I have like 95 million points here. And based off what I've seen, it's a pretty high amount unless you were really doing crazy volume here. So I have 95 million points. I would go check out their points tracker at meteora.ag and check out where you rank here. But I do think the biggest opportunity right now, that especially if you're sidelined on this latest trade that has just swept the timeline by storm, and that's Aster, okay? First of all, the price action on this coin, unreal. I mean, I initially bought and gave this info on TTOO and 𝗪𝒛𝒛 at 20 cents. And then now we're sitting at $2, $1.97 as of this point in time of recording. We talked about it first here on the channel about an hour later at 30 cents. I do feel like I was publicly one of the first people on YouTube to go ahead and get involved with this token. I mean, 𝗧𝗪 and Binance are fully backing Aster as the HyperLiquid of Binance. So now a lot of people are in two positions here. You're either allocated into this very well and you have a position, or you're completely sidelined and you're wondering what to do. If you're sidelined and wondering what to do, the easiest way to get involved here is by farming the airdrop, okay? This is low-hanging fruit and it's super underfarmed. Because I have a couple of wallets that I have not placed any perps trades. I don't hold my Aster on, whatever the case is. And I just went and checked like some basic, allocation. And just for doing the smallest things, you can rack up good points here on Aster. And my wallets are already ranked pretty highly because this is pretty underfarmed at this point. I feel like people are treating it as if they didn't buy the token, then they've lost their opportunity. Where that's the furthest thing from the case, because let me walk you through this, okay? Aster Genesis Stage 2 will end at 11:59 UTC on October 5th. So as of today, you have 2 weeks to qualify and maximize your Aster Season 2 airdrop. With 2 epochs left this season, users can still trade and earn points. 4% of the total supply is allocated for Stage 2 rewards. 4%. Let's just go ahead and do some basic math out of my head here. Crypto guy math. We see $15 billion fully diluted. So 4% of that. Let's just do the easy math here. 5% would be $750 million. Let's just go 4% is about $600 million, okay, that they're going to be giving out here over the course of this airdrop, okay? $600 million on the table. You want to make sure that you get a piece of that, especially if you did not get involved in this trade. Regardless of your thoughts, this is free money on the table. If you trade perps, if you trade anything, if you trade spot, you get rewards. If you refer, you get rewards. There's many ways here you can get involved with Aster. And look, they're at $3 million a day in revenue. They actually, yesterday or the last 24 hours, they have done more revenue than HyperLiquid, okay? This is not something you're going to want to fade throughout this cycle. And look, the ways you accumulate points, there's trading volume through perps, the amount of time you hold Aster. So if you have a position, you're actually earning points in the background, your P&L, your Aster asset holding, and your referrals. And as we see here, you can go check your points. And even just through, trading and stuff like that, like this guy's ranked 253 on his points. And basically his strategy is just deposit, trade. Depositing 1 to 5K will easily achieve 5 to 10x rewards, as he's talking about volume being the biggest contributor. So if you are trading perps right now, I think this is probably the best place to go because you are earning a share of the biggest airdrop in crypto. Oh, and by the way, there's a season 2, there's a season 3. I think this is going to be an ongoing thing. In the tokenomics, there was about 40% of tokens reserved for the community. This will be accounted for whenever it comes to the airdrop. I think that this will be over and over again, that it's going to be rewarding the most active users. They want to take on HyperLiquid, and this is the exact way to do it, okay? So I implore you, if you miss this token or if you're involved in this token, maximize this airdrop. Like, they're about to give away $600 million in 15 days. You want a piece of that. And if you want a piece of that, we do have a link down below in the description. You can use it, you cannot. I understand if you're already involved, whatever the case is, but you will get 10% off your trading fees if you do sign up with our link down below in the description. So check out the Aster link in the description down below. And then, of course, we talked about this last week, which is predictions markets. I think predictions markets are some of the biggest avenues for upside as well. And I'm not telling you to go gamble. Throw some volume around. If you like sports, if you think you have a lean on a political stance or a speech that Powell or Trump gives, or entertainment purposes, Oscars, Grammys, whatever the case is, you can make all those predictions on there. You don't have to just go gamble. So if you want allocation into these, go throw some volume on Polymarket, Myriad, which is on the abstract chain. 𝗘𝗏 looks like they might be doing a token. They're really stepping up their crypto exposure. So there's a lot of different things you can do as far as the predictions market space. For me, I would focus on Polymarket, Myriad, and 𝗘𝗏. Just throw $100 on each or something and just play around with it. Make sure you have some volume because we did see clearance that these can launch tokens and that they aren't securities in the predictions market space. So that's what I'm most prioritizing right now. HyperLiquid Season 2 alongside Project X and HyperVault. We have Abstract, we have MetaMask, we have OpenSea, Meteora, which we should absolutely crush this airdrop. And then I think the biggest opportunity right now is Aster because a lot of people are coping and sidelined on this trade. So they're still fading it completely where they should be farming this airdrop. I think this is going to be very easy money and a nice stimulus for those who get involved. And then, of course, predictions market. So that's my free money slash airdrop, guide. This is how you maneuver the space when the space is down, okay? It's not really advantageous to try to predict the bottom. I'm well allocated into altcoins. I'm sure most of you guys are too. I just laid out what I'm doing at this point in time, spending time on these different platforms to make sure that I qualify whenever these big airdrops come through the door, especially because we are at the peak of the potential 4-year cycle. I think some of these airdrops could be pretty juicy. Some of them will be underwhelming. There's nothing you can do about that. But whenever the market's in euphoria, you're going to want to spend time trading. You're going to want to spend time looking at the charts, trying to catch the next meme coin, whatever the case is. So this is the time to kind of have a game plan, okay? I track all my stuff on a Notion and I just make sure I've had exposure into them and then we roll from there. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel for more. You can check out links to everything we talked about in the description down below. And I'll see y'all tomorrow with another market update. As always, play well, my friends, trade responsibly, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.